Welcome to another exciting episode of Dialogue Diaries. Today, we're diving into the soul stirring world of Nepali music with none other than Bipul Chettri. In this episode, we'll explore his journey as an artist, dive into the stories behind his song, and even get a glimpse of his upcoming projects. So, settle in for an inspiring conversation with a musician who truly redefines authenticity. And let's step into the world of Bipul Chettri. Thank you so much, Da. Thank you so much for coming to Dialogue Diaries and giving me this opportunity to talk to you. And welcome to Dialogue Diaries.
Thank you, bye. Thank you for having me here.
And how are you, Da? How have you been? How is life lately?
I've been good. Right? I've been. I mean, what can I say? I mean, life is a gift. Every day is a gift, and yeah, the older you get, I think the more you realize how precious, your life is and what you have.
And how was the Northeast Festival? You've recently performed there, and you've not. You've recently come from there, from Delhi, and over the years it must have changed. So, how's your experience? The few days back that you've performed in Northeast.
Yeah, Northeast. This is the third time we've played, and I mean it's the biggest Northeast festival in entire India, and I mean it was an amazing experience as usual. There were Nepalese and from all across India, not just from this part, but Northeast, of course. Shillong, Nagaland, Mizoram, all of that, and it was nice to connect, with this diaspora from in the rest of India, and I mean, of course, it was a beautiful experience. It's really growing, and over the years, I've managed to create a certain fan base that people, always show up and they support and they enjoy and sing along and dance along. So it's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, I saw the video also that you posted. There's so many people. No? They always come out in
come out in very large numbers.
Very large numbers. Your music is how I actually discovered Nepali music again. Rediscovered actually Nepali music again with Sketches of Darjeeling. So getting a little bit into Sketches of Darjeeling. So in this album, spoken about the mountains, the wildfire, and all these nature's gifts to us. So what were the emotions that played, so that how did you shape this album?
So Sketches of Darjeeling came about when initially it was I hadn't done Nepali music as such, like because growing up, like you're mostly influenced by American music, British music, and I studied classical guitar and everything. So after having done that for like 15 odd years, like maybe I was not satisfied with what I was doing. Like there was a void. Like I felt like I was kind of faking or something. I don't know. I felt like somebody else. Like didn't feel so real. So then when I tried my hand in this, I said, okay, maybe let me write something in Nepali, and then because my father also was a Nepali musician, and he wrote and everything. Anyway, so then so I wrote Wildfire, so that came over as Wildfire. So after I wrote that, so that song, it was, I went to a friend's studio and just recorded it, sort of, it was not a very highly produced at that point in time. So anyway, so we did that, and then so I had this song in my hands, and I didn't know what to do. I said, okay, maybe I'll just post it, in Facebook. So I put it in SoundCloud and just post it in Facebook, just for the fun of it, like. So after I did that, the song actually went viral, it just spread actually like wildfire, and so in the succeeding days, I just could see that post was just going, like, I don't know where it was going. I was just going places, and it was crazy, like it was quite crazy, because for me it was very crazy and overwhelming, because to see something like that happening. And then, so I waited for a week or so. Then I thought maybe they should, settle down, and maybe it's just some freak of nature or something like that. And then it just wouldn't stop, It just went on, and and then, so the thought came to me like, oh, this is, there's something in this. So maybe I try one more song and see, if this is not a fluke or something. So then I wrote Asar, and Asar did the same, in fact more, and then after that I wrote Mountain High, and just kept on going like that. So, and then I said, oh, that maybe it's time to make an album, So I sort of, so after that, I thought of all these similarities, and I thought, of course, it's just home, I thought Sketches of Darjeeling would be an apt title to give to this, because it was a diary, a personal diary for me.
So you didn't actually think of making an album initially?
No.
So there was one song,
just one song, and then it just spread, and then it just led to another, and it became that.
But it's such a beautifully curated album, and Nepali is such an expressive language. There's so many words which don't have literal translations into English or Hindi, right? And you've used those words in your like sarara, siriri, garara, right? So how did these words find their path to the lyrics, and what was the thought process behind it?
I think because this is the language we normally I've used when back home in Kalimpong, and it was just a part of your normal communication when you want to communicate something. So it just came about because the lyrics was basically something which just came about naturally, and it was a very personal thing. It was not something which I wanted to sort of curate it in a way so that it sounds like that. It just came about the way the expression needed it to come, like Asar was like I don't know if it happens now, but when I was growing up back, monsoons must say, the rain made a certain noise in the rooftop, and that was a very calming noise for me. I would sleep so peacefully when I hear that noise.
People actually, they put that noise on YouTube nowadays. There are sounds which you get when you have to sleep at night, and then you have rain noises and all that.
Yes. Right? So this was so I somehow wanted to, because thought of home is also the sounds and the sights and the smell. So this was a very familiar sound for me. So I wanted to capture that in some way or the other. So it came about.
There's one very particular song that I wanted to ask you about, and that song is called Kahile Kahi. Because when I came across that song, and I listened to all your songs. So when I came across that song, I was like, oh, this is something very different. It has a little bit of a jazz touch, and a little not like the other songs, right?
Correct.
So does it have a story? How did you make that Kahile Kahi?
Kahile Kahi was composed by my father, and of course I wanted to sort of basically I rearranged it, and and I thought this suits this style of music, and so that's in that my album, that's my personal favorite song.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
And it was recorded very well, and but yeah, sometimes the songs that you really like doesn't really become as famous as you think,
But even for me also, that song is very different from others, and I really love that song.
I've got from a lot of people about that song.
About Kahile Kahi?
Yeah. Specific people, not like in general, but there are people here and there who talk about that song.
About Kahile Kahi.
And I'm quite glad that you talked about it, because those are the songs that needs to come out. I think those are the songs that carry a certain.
I think from that album, people mostly they resonate to Syndicate,
Jun Keri, Siri, and all of that.
So, when I listen to your songs, what I see or what I feel is say for example Mountain High. That's another song which I really like, and the reason is because you see, you've used the bells before the song. Then there is that music, that kind of a music that plays before you actually start the song. Then again, say in serene also, the way you've layered your riffs. So, is this like when you write the song, do you know, imagine it in a certain way, or is it something that happens when you sit with the band and, you know, it organically happens?
Yeah, so I'm a very visual like composer, you can say. Like I write very visually, like so in terms of the music, like so I would want to communicate what I see and what I feel through the music, like Nasar, like I wanted to capture that raindrops, you know,
The sound and the
you
feeling.
can feel that. In Mountain High, I wanted to capture the feel of the high altitude, regions of our part. I remember when just before that I had gone to this place called Guru Dongmar Lake in Sikkim. So, and then, so I had just come back soaking in that whole vibe, and the monasteries and everything. I mean, so trying to capture that whole, feeling, and that translates to the music. Yeah.
Your timeline, like if I take you through a timeline, then say in 2013 is I think when you uploaded Wildfire on SoundCloud. Then you had an album in 2014. Then 2015 is when you had a Syndicate. Then you had an album in 16. Then you had Maya in 2016, right? Then you had Samaya in 2021. So now it's 24. Now again you're doing with singles.
Yeah.
So as a fan, so should we be hoping for an album very soon?
Yeah. So there's a surprise coming up soon. Hopefully 25. We get to hear something special, something different. Yeah. So working on it, and I'm very excited about it.
So I think as a fan and the other fans that are going to watch this, they'll also be very excited to know this. And now that your life must have evolved so much from the first time that you stepped on stage to the times that you're stepping in now, right? You started performing, like you said, in school, to selling out arenas all over the world. Do you have a certain place in mind? Like, every artist, sometimes they have, that, okay, this is where I want to perform, like once. So is there a place like that where you want to, but you haven't yet?
I don't know. There's so many places like that. I mean, there's so many places like that. We played Wembley, that. And that was a big venue, and I don't know. I mean, I think Red Rocks would be great. Red Rocks in Denver, is it? Yeah. I think that's a great venue. I mean, we definitely want to play there once.
Yeah, so I hope someone sees from there and they'll be like, okay, now we will call. So, you speak about the divine energy, right? And I'd seen your podcast with Mr. Sanjay Silwal, where you've spoken about a connection with a higher power. And we also had Mr. Anmol Guru as a guest in our show. And he's also spoken about how he believes that he's just discovering it. He's not the one who's creating it. So it's a higher power that creates it, and he just discovers, and he's just the messenger, he's just delivering it. So do you feel like for people who want to write or who want to curate a certain kind of song or a melody, do you think tapping into that energy or finding yourself first, do you think that's the process to go about it?
Well, I think process to go about it is, firstly you got to work hard. Like you got to do what you can do, and just try and keep on practicing it, working on it every day, because you got to practice your art. It's like, I think, because if so once you put in that hard work, there'll be a certain point of time when things click, So that is the divine intervention. But for that to happen, you have to be ready to receive it, and you have to be at the right time, at the right place, which basically means that you have to keep on working, working on the craft every day, trying to, look for the, your, inspiration, look for like basically just work.
From Sketches of Darjeeling to the latest singles that you have done, like it's been over a decade now. It's been so long that you're in this industry, and you've been. How do you manage to stay relevant and get your ideas? Do you ever have a certain kind of creative block sometimes? Can we do you have that in person? Because we, as a normal person, we just see the genius, right? We just see the song, we just see the well curated songs, and we see that the lyrics is awesome and it's so good. But as an artist, as a personal experience, do you ever have that creative block or something like that?
I think everyone goes through a I don't know if it's a block or if it's just a natural cycle of the way things are, like I think there is always a process of like transformation and retransformation. And so when you look at it in terms of creatively, like it's I would see that there's always a process where you are finding yourself. There's never there's never an end to say, oh, like I found myself, this is what I can do and this is it, because life has to evolve. And so for the evolution to come about, I think it comes sometimes as a block. And in my case, yeah, I mean, I think I'm still trying to find myself, and also songwriting, it's not always in your. I mean, not always. I think it's never in your hands. Like if you can't say that, oh, I want to make an album like Sketches of Darjeeling, and then you go about like making that. It's something which I don't know. It needs some kind of a divine intervention. Like it has to come through you. And now I've come to a point where I think that like it just comes through you, and then it's not. You cannot intend to do it intentionally, like, oh, I will sit down and write a song like Asar or write a song like Mountain High, and you just have to be ready for the inspiration to come in and to catch that and to receive that, so yeah.
And while you're on the topic of you performing, do you have a memory of the first time how you felt when you actually got on stage to perform back in your school days or college days? Do you have a fond memory of that?
I mean, of course, I started performing very early on in my life in school. My first performance was in class 3. I remember it was a school day, and so I sang a song called Buffalo Soldier. My teacher, Mr. Justin Rai, that time, he was my class teacher. He encouraged me to perform, and he also knew my father, so he said, oh, you're this so and so son, let me try you out. And so he heard me sing, and so it seems like he liked my voice and everything else, so he prepared me to sing that. I mean, when I was so that was also the first and last time my father saw me perform, because he expired shortly after that. And I remember that, and and then after that, then I started playing every year in school since throughout class 12. But I clearly remember my first performance with this music when I first released Sketches of Darjeeling. I had my first performance in a club called 25 Hours Club in Tangalood in Kathmandu, and so I'd gone there with just 6 songs, and I didn't know I was the headlining act at a point of time, So when I walked in there, and so we stayed in the same vicinity, and so looking down from my apartment, there was the stage was right there also, and in the evening time there was a huge line of people, like lined up outside the gate to come and watch the performance. I'm thinking like who's coming today? Yeah, this is crazy, like such a long line, and so there was the opening act, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's somebody else coming in, and finally this host announced my name, and I'm like, oh shucks, these people have come to see me, watch me. I was like, and so, and then of course I had the band. As I walked in, I had to walk in through the crowd to the stage, and they were all sitting down. It was like a outdoor. They all stood up and started clapping, and I'm like, I was freaking out. Like, I was like so nervous. Like, I just didn't know what to do and how to react to this. And then as I walked on stage, and when I wanted to say something, I was almost choking. Like, there was no words. Like, because I was so overwhelmed with the whole situation. Yeah. So I remember that very clearly. That was my first concert.
But we are so glad that you got up to the stage, and then you performed, and then today we see you as Bipul Chettri at the traveling band. But talking about your first performance in school, so was this when you were in St. Augustine's?
Yes, I was in St. Augustine's.
Yeah, you were ex-Sassonian.
Yeah.
And so how were you like when you were in school? What kind of a student were you? Were you studious? Were you all into music?
I was, of course, I think I was naturally into music early on. I didn't really realize that consciously, but I think, naturally there was music coming out, and then, I was performing, and, I was hanging around with the senior, students, in school, because they were, as musicians, and there was band, and I was always doing that. And yeah, I mean, study-wise, I think I was all right. Only later on towards senior classes, 8, 9, then I maybe started, became a little better in studies. I took pure science in class 12.
Were you mischievous or like badmasi?
Badmas, obviously, yeah. Badmas, though, pure badmas nahi hai. Like, of course.
Since you have your friends as band members who were there from school.
Yeah, of course, naughty was definitely there. I mean, I can't be really candid about all those things, but yeah.
Old days.
Yes,
yeah.
definitely naughty, yeah.
But now that after that, since you pursued music, and at that point of time, music was not a very conventional path. Like, people, they would be hesitant to choose it as a passion, like more as a hobby, but then, following their dreams and passion and then making it as a career. It was not a very conventional path at that point of time. So how did you muster the courage that, okay, this is what I want to do? Or was it like, you were just into music and it just happened naturally?
Yeah, I mean, that time, music was never a career. And, it was strange if you would walk up to your parents and say, hey, like, I want to be like a musician, and like I want to take it as a career, and they would think like, are you serious? You think music was something you do as a hobby, a passion, whatever. But in my case, I think I didn't know anything else. I was, not very good at anything else. I think, I just. So I went to college, and I in Delhi, in DU, and I was studying zoology. I don't know for what reason, but I was doing that, and just music took over that.
How, if I need to ask, then how was the first experience of performing internationally? How did you feel? Do you feel like, okay, I've arrived or something like that? Did that kind of, feeling come to you when you first went outside?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's for any musician, like, to be able to have people appreciate your art and to call you all the way 7 seas apart. It's, of course, it's a great feeling. I mean, and definitely you feel validated for all that you've done, and it just adds more confidence to your craft and yourself as a human being. Of course, I felt that I mean, there's something good we did, and it was coming from a small town in Kalimpong, and all of us. I think more than us, people who were there from our part of the world, like they were like very happy to see, like, oh, ambo hamra ketale pani gaye type of guy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, sense of proud.
Yeah. So I think that is that is the. I think for me that's bigger than anything else, like that.
Since we're in the topic of international, how was the feeling when you got to know about Grammys, that you would be one of the voting members in Grammys. How did it make you feel very, accomplished at that point of time? How was the feeling?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Grammy is a big deal. I mean, honestly, like, it didn't sort of add on, like, to, like, like, it didn't really validate in a sense that of who I was and what, what I could do. But of course, it's definitely something that, that adds on to, your bio data or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We are so grateful for your music. So I would actually like to share a short story, a personal story. So this was back in 2018. So I was talking to my girlfriend a few days back, and I was telling her that, okay, I'm so excited because I'm a fanboy, and I was like, okay, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. So then she reminded me of a time. So this was back in 2018, and you were coming to Bangalore, and you were performing in Humming Tree. I don't know if that place is still there or not. And there's this restaurant called Bami's in Kormangla. So me and my girlfriend, we had gone there for dinner, and we saw your poster. And we were so excited that we'll get to see you. But it was so heartbreaking because it was already over. Okay, so that's it. It was actually after your performance.
Yeah, okay.
So I was like, oh my god, I just missed it, and I was like, why? I could have just gone there and buy this much. Oh. So from there, then cut to 2022. So this is you had come to Pakyong.
Okay.
You'd come to Pakyong St. Xavier's ground to perform. So what happened was. I was there in Gangtok, and I was like, okay, now this one I have to go. And thank you for doing this, but what you did was you had posted a story in the morning. Okay, and it showed the location, Vivanta by Taj. So after your performance, I was like, Khana ta aba paude na, we were not going to get food in Gangtok. Maybe we need food. People now must be there. Let's just give it a try, let's just go there. So I told my friend, and we just came to Taj, and as I was putting the car in the porch, I saw you were at the lawn.
Okay.
And then I just I left my car there only. I was like, parking or. And he's like, just park the car. I was like, just park it. And I just came off. And then I came to you and I was like, can I please have a photograph? And you very nicely, you spoke to us and you clicked a photo. And from there to this. Having this conversation, it really means a lot to me.
Thank you.
Because I think we'll move towards the end, and thank you so much for giving your time and for letting me have this opportunity to talk to you. But before I wrap up, there's always a question that I always ask to everyone who's come here, and that's also because what we are trying to do here is. So what I felt is the artists from Northeast, not just in music, but in all the different fields, feel this podcast will just be to highlight people from the Northeast who've excelled so much in their field, so that they inspire other people, other younger generations. So if you had to give one advice to an upcoming, say, songwriter or a music producer, so what would that be?
I think first and foremost would be like, don't take anybody's advice seriously. Because I think that's how you break the trend and make your own mark. And secondly is, nothing beats hard work. If you are in for the glory of it, for the if you're doing this craft to maybe become famous or to I don't know. I think you have to be in it in this for the love of it. Like I would be doing it even if I was not this famous or. I think first and importantly is you to love what you do, and you see yourself doing that any which ways, I think then you know that you're in the right place. Um, if you do this thinking I would be famous one day, I would make this and that, I think then I think that would not be the right approach. You know, I would advise you to be happy with what you do, regardless of anything else. That should be. It's almost like, you know, a religion. You know, it's almost like you know, your work is almost like your religion. It's not only about, it's about you, and it's about you and nobody else in the beginning. And if it sort of resonates and reflects with other people, then that's fine. That's great. That's, you know, that's an extra bonus. But firstly, it should just be about you, and yeah, and I think that'll be a great place to start.
So thank you so much, Da. Thank you so much for your time, and we wish you all the best for all your future endeavors, and we'll be eagerly waiting for the upcoming album.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Da.
you, bye. Thank you.